Who was Chulainn in Celtic Mythology, Part 5. The Cattle Raid of Cooley continued for months, with Chulainn remaining undefeated during his standoff at the ford. The conflict had spread to other locations, however, and the youth corps of soldiers Chulainn had fought as a child, known as the Main Maka, had attacked the Connacht army and all slaughtered to a person during the battle. When Chulainn heard about this, his rage boiled over uncontrollably, and he fully gave in to the inner frenzy of the Strahd, transforming and mutating into the most powerful version of the monster ever witnessed. His murderous vengeance was without bounds. He attacked the armies of Connacht and viciously slaughtered hundreds of soldiers, dismembering and beheading his foes, ripping and chopping them apart in a frenetic rage. His fury was so complete, he started stacking the bodies, using the bodies to build a tall wall, the stinking carcasses noticeable for miles and unheard of in these ancient times. And the horror of Chulainn's vengeance was unprecedented, as the Connacht army recoiled in terror at his barbarity. Eventually, he returned to his normal form, and Queen Maeve sent one of Chulainn's foster fathers to fight Chulainn. Chulainn did not want to fight him, so he agreed to yield to Fergus so long as he returned the favor the next time they met, and both warriors lived. Queen Maeve hatched a new plan to destroy her foe. She set her daughter, Findabair, to seduce Chulainn's peer and best friend, Ferdiad. Findabair, using alcohol, bribery, and sensuality, successfully turned Ferdiad against his best friend, and he agreed to meet Chulainn on the field and slay him. Ferdiad was the equal of Chulainn, having been trained at the same time by Scathach, and the battle they engaged in was an emotional one, lasting for 3 days. Ferdiad had impenetrable skin, so Chulainn could not seem to ever harm his friend, and Ferdiad started to gain the upper hand, wearing Chulainn down. And it was at this time that Chulainn feared for his life and called for his charioteer, Leg, to float the spear, Gaebog, down the river to him. Chulainn first took a regular spear and threw it at Ferdiad, who blocked it, and then he used his foot to throw Gaebog, which entered through the rectum of Ferdiad, and his magic spread the barbs throughout the insides of Ferdiad, killing him. Chulainn mourned the loss of his best friend and carried him off the battlefield in solemn grief. The battle continued, but then the effects of Maka's curse upon the Ulstermen finally wore off, and they were able to join the battle. Hundreds of soldiers joined the fray and battled the armies of Connacht, pushing them back. Chulainn at that point pulled back from the conflict, tending to his wounds and resting. During one point, Chulainn saw one of his foster fathers, Fergus, bring a Connacht army into the conflict. He goes out to meet him. When the two met, Fergus remembered their agreement and he yielded to Chulainn, pulling his army off the field. Connacht's army started to panic. Chulainn then pursued Queen Maeve and broke through her soldiers to get to her when she was vulnerable during her menstruation, and he then had her at his mercy. It was at this point Chulainn could have ended Queen Maeve's life and exacted vengeance upon her. But she begged for her life, and Chulainn saw no honor in killing her then. He spared her and guarded her retreat, showing the world the kind of man he was. He lived by honor. He single-handedly defended the kingdom of Ulster with honor. The blood of a god ran through him as he achieved everlasting fame. His legend continued in Celtic mythology.